I'm Sarah Brown, and this is The Mothers, real conversations with leaders, creators, and thinkers about who we are, what we want, and how we build meaningful lives alongside motherhood. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mothers. Team Woof. It is May, short for mayhem in our house. This rush to the end of the school year. You can feel it happening. Summer chaos, endless picnics after school. It's going to be fun. And we have graduations in the mix and all that jazz. But I'm going to channel I get to do this as opposed to I have to, mostly. A few other updates from behind the scenes. One, I mentioned last time that I attended this fun industry conference called Mom 2.0, which brings together brands and marketers that operate in the parenting/mom space. The thing I didn't mention last time was that the one and only Emily Oster was there, who I absolutely fangirl over. A dream. And I did the thing that I told myself, that I promised to myself that I would do. I nervously, more than I wanted to be, walked up to her and I said something useful. I blacked it out. I don't know what, because she agreed to come on The Mothers in a few weeks. Huge guest. I'm so excited. I feel like many of our listeners know Emily based on her books and maybe her social presence as the new Dr. Spock, bringing data to parenthood with parent data. But I don't think enough of us know the story of how she got here and became who she is today, which has always been so cool to me. It was not a normal or even really celebrated thing for an economics professor to move into the parenting space. Academia, as we learned from Christine May, our prior guest, is a wild place. So Emily really forged her own path, ignored the naysayers, and look at her now. So I love that story. I'm excited to bring that to us, to all of you in a couple weeks. The other thing to mention, I've been building The Mothers as this place to really investigate working motherhood, but also power and identity through conversations with industry leaders, creators, and thinkers. I've loved this work. I sincerely love learning people's stories. I find every single one fascinating. In parallel, I've been building up the old Sarah Brown brand. My vision down the line is to create a platform of my own for writing, speaking, thinking, collaborating with The Mothers, and learnings from all of our marvelous guests as an anchor to that, for sure. There's got to be a book in there somewhere too to make this official. But I'm working on a new website to bring this to life, so stay tuned. But enough about me. Let's get to today's guest. A human who, somewhat like me, looks at the world as it is and immediately starts asking, why? And what if it were different? Not incrementally better, not just slightly more efficient, but for her, fundamentally reimagined. Today, we have the radical Miki Agrawal, a builder who has done exactly that again and again. She's the founder behind THINX, which redefined how we think about periods. TUSHY, which challenged something as basic and as invisible as how we use the bathroom. And now HIRO Technologies, where she's taking on one of the hardest problems there is, plastic waste, starting with something as everyday as diapers. She and her son HIRO recently delivered a truly endearing and captivating TED Talk, which I highly recommend watching. Just use the old Google, or we'll link it in the description as well. But this conversation isn't just about what she's built. It's about how she's choosing to build now. Because what's striking about this moment in Miki's life is that she's not trying to replicate her past success. She's actively resisting it. After years of building fast, scaling hard, and proving what was possible, she's asking a different question. What if growth didn't have to come from pressure? What if companies could be built more like ecosystems than machines? What if success wasn't just about what you create in the world, but the state you're in while creating it? In this conversation, we talk about the difference between building from urgency versus building from alignment, why she no longer wants to, quote, do it the way that worked, how motherhood changed not just her priorities, but her nervous system, and what it looks like to lead and create from a more expansive, more conscious space. There's also something else underneath all of it. Miki doesn't see herself as an entrepreneur first. She sees herself as an artist. And that lens, that everything she builds is a form of creative expression meant to move people, to shift behavior, to make you feel something, changes how you hear everything she says. This is a conversation about ambition, yes, but also about evolution, about letting go of the version of yourself that worked and stepping into one that feels more true. Before we get into it, if you're finding value in these conversations, there are 3 simple ways to support the show. 1, follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. 2, leave a 5-star review if you think we've earned it, and I hope we do. And 3, follow along on Instagram at The Mothers Pod. It makes a bigger difference than you think. And with that, please enjoy my conversation with Miki Agrawal. I was a soccer player, which maybe you were too. Harvard, resented it. Nice. Played soccer there. Wasn't done with soccer.
I played at Cornell.
I thought. Yeah. So but I wanted to keep playing, and I was graduating early 2000s. There was no real obvious place.
Same. I played for the New York Magic, but it didn't really
Sweet. Yes. So I played overseas. I went to Germany to play. And it's one thing that I look at what's happening now with women's sports. I'm so grateful and yay for them. It does make me reflect on my professional life, in that if that had been a path for me, whether to play professionally or even just move into sports in a professional capacity afterwards, I think I would have by now figured out what I really like doing professionally. Because that to me was so cool. And I'm sure it's a little like rose colored glasses in retrospect, but it was so deeply meaningful to me and aligned with what I care about and purposeful and all the things. And it's a shame that I haven't totally recovered that feeling in anything else. So then Germany, came back to Boston, could not tolerate being in Boston, a city of no, who are you to think you can do anything? Ran away to San Francisco and found happiness and my husband coincidentally at the same time, and lived there for a couple years, very happily, never wanted to leave. Cried going to the airport, coming back towards New York, landed in Tribeca for a year, and which I hated at first and then fell in love with just in time to leave. And then came back to Boston, where I took a job at Google in Cambridge. And that was, fast forward 12 years, 3 kids, and living a life that surprises me in that it's a full circle moment where I live in the suburb that I grew up in, which I don't think is permanent, but doing a lot of the things I said I would never do. And then you have kids and you sort of like find that you're doing some of those things. Playing in this journalist, writer, brand builder, podcaster. I'm playing in this media space because no one else started a podcast. No one else has a Substack. But trying to bring a different angle, kind of on this, like, well, for the podcast, very much rooted in, I look around. So I'd left my job and I was still quite busy, and I was playing more of the mother role, and I was sitting around and at pickups and drop-offs around like these remarkable women, because it's almost always the mother. And just being like, the stories that are shared around mothers are based on either their incredibly like impossible to achieve level of success professionally, with no mention of like the rest of their life, or their moms suffering, desperate for anyone to see how hard their life is. And there's so much in between all of that. And there's so much power and strength I have found that I think we sort of forget. Yes, mothers deserve so much more structural support and credit for everything that we carry. But we also deserve space to like have the light shined on how incredible we are and how powerful we are. And how, yes, we do both and all the time. You talk about kind of, which I relate to, this sort of life of, you were raised to think you could be anything and do anything. And then sort of society, you reach a certain age or a certain level of exposure to the world, and the world said, no, you can't. And then you turned on this sort of achiever thing, of like, well, I'll just do all the right things, and best college, best job, investment banking, which is so funny to think about. Seeing you now,
of all time. Like
and yet we put ourselves in these places. So yeah, I would love maybe start sort of in the beginning, and how we get to, holy shit, founding 4 businesses, seemingly maybe still running 3 of them at least. I don't even know. Writing 2 books.
Well, my restaurants, I have a partner who runs it. THINX I sold.
Okay.
TUSHY, I still own the majority of the company, but I have a co-founder and CEO and an incredible team of leaders running that business. And
Yeah.
then HIRO is my newest baby that I'm working on.
Cool. Love it. Love it. All big deal brands. But yeah, you started as a twin. Are you deeply connected to your twin? You like have started some business together, I
We
guess.
actually, well, I mean, THINX, we co-founded it together, but we actually never built a company together because we're both like such wonderful alpha females, and just, I mean, with each other anyways. It's like, it's like
Yeah.
your best friend, but it's when it comes to business, it's always great like to like be the biggest cheerleaders for each other versus work together. I
Yeah.
think we just realized that early on,
Yeah.
and she started Daybreaker, which is the most epic, um dance
Oh,
party
cool.
company of all time, where it's like a movement to spread joy around the world. The sober dance movement. They create the whole sober dance like world movement. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she wrote the book Belong, which is incredible. Her new book's coming out. Yeah, How to Make a Friend. And she's incredible. And we co-founded things together. Um, and then with my third co-founder who passed this week, which is so crazy.
Yeah. I'm so tragic. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. Where did so going back to little Mickey, who was told or made to think that she could be anything, what was true in that chapter of your life that kind of allowed you to think such a thing?
I think growing up half Japanese, half Indian in French Montreal, where French is my first language, and English, it was like in a very multicultural, like Montreal, Canada. We just got to really question everything. There was never like, this is the way it is. It's like, well, this is what the Japanese people think, this is what Indian people think, this is what French people think, this is what English people think, this is what Chinese people think, this is what. So we just got to really like question everything and debate. And our dinner table was such a debate. And we just debated all topics. And so I think when we got older, it was just sort of, it's like, if this doesn't work, there's got to be a better way. Like, it's not just like, this is the way it is. There's just one way of doing it. There's many ways of doing everything we learned growing up. And it was like deeply ingrained in us from such an early day. And I think being an athlete as well, just like you, a soccer player, you know, being able to like, every moment is a play, and it's like, you can win the play, you can lose the play, but you got to get up and keep going and you face the next play. You got to, it's play by play. And so it's like, there's no such thing as like rejection, so I think I learned a lot of the tools early on from my parents, from being an athlete, and from just coming from multicultural world, and having a twin sister and a third sister who's 11 months older, who were all overachievers. And so to be able to really just, like play together was really, really fun and motivating, and always like consistent up leveling, that wasn't, so
that's so interesting. Wait, tell me, so family of overachievers. So like, it's not just the eldest daughter who's struggling with the achievement stuff. Does that relate to why so much of what this pivot point that you can tell me, flesh out for me, of kind of moving off of this sort of traditional achievement track, if that's what it could even be, to something that is like anchored and rooted in kind of you and an expression of you. How does you also then sort of really scrutinize achievement, and you're very like wonderfully wise, but also curious about why we do what we do, aware of the pressures to conform, but also trying to strip yourself of needing to be with those. I'm curious, are you trying to recover from achievement also? Are all three of you trying to kind of recover from that?
I don't think it's like a recovery. It's just a change of perspective. It's not, it's not like I'm recovering from something. Like, I am who I am because of who I am and where I came from. And so there's no like shame, like, oh, I am where I am, and I've been on a path and a journey that has led me
Mm.
here and now. And I think where I am here and now is not where I was, and I don't want to go back. I want to keep
Yeah.
going this direction. So it's, I've built multiple companies, and it's like I don't want to build
Yeah.
another company the same way again. And so kind of like
Hmm.
fighting that structured systems approach. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's been really interesting because you still have to build a business. And from
Yeah.
my perspective, it's like, what does my stewardship role look like? And it's creative stewardship, right? So it's like,
Hmm.
um, how do you bring the right team together? How do you bring the right investors together? How do you bring the right collaborate collaborators together? And then how do you mix
Hmm.
everyone together and then you massage the community and then allow them to flourish without necessarily needing you every step of the way. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think I'm in that phase where I'm figuring out, and yet, I'm still also like, I want to be in the meetings. And then I'm like, no, I don't. And then I want to know what's
Hmm.
going on. Then I'm like, no, I don't. And so I'm still in
Yeah.
the transition phase. And to be like very honest, it's very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because I know what
Yeah.
has worked in the past, and
Hmm.
approaching a new frame, like in the dojo of growing a new company with,
Hmm.
all my friends investing in it. It's like there a level
Wow. Yeah.
of like, I'm not putting the pressure on myself. I mean, I am putting pressure on myself, but it's just I'm still like what I'm interested in with Hero, my newest company, is how we're building it,
Hmm.
how I'm building it,
Hmm.
how I'm stewarding it, and I'm still finding myself at times getting tight and then wanting to go back in the old ways because they worked, and then having to loosen and slow and go sit in my altar room and breathe.
Why the shift if you say the other way
Because my
worked, quote
nervous system
unquote?
doesn't want to build like that anymore. Like, just not interested
Mm.
in doing
Hmm.
that. And I think that's the old paradigm trauma scale method that is not serving
Yeah.
our planet. It's not serving connection. We're more lonely. More people are lonely than ever before. There's more trash on the planet than before. There's more.
Hmm.
It's just like, yes, there is more abundant humans and less hungry people on the planet, and there is less wars in general, and of course
Hmm.
social media just amplifies all the bad stuff, which is what watching media like
Yeah.
8 years ago. um but
Nice.
um what was I saying just now? What was I?
I was asking about the shift,
Oh, why? Yeah.
wanting to lead companies differently now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Why?
because I just don't want to do another one the same way. I've actually
Yeah.
I've already
I'm a
done
creative
that. I'm
person.
not I don't to do it the same
Yeah.
way. Like, I'm not interested. Like, I've already done it multiple times, and I don't need to prove myself
Yeah.
anymore. Like, I want to actually be on
Yeah.
mission from the place that really, really makes sense for me. And for me, it's
Hmm.
deep personal development, self-healing journeys. I mean, I just came back from doing
Hmm.
Ibogaine. I did Sapiens. I went into the darkness and sat in the pitch black cave for 5 nights. And I went
Wow.
and did Hoffman. I did, obviously Landmark, not obviously, but I did I've done like so many of the modalities. I have the somatic therapy. I've had a life coach. I've had leadership coach. I've
Hmm.
had performance coach. I've just I'm just sting
Yeah.
the entire mix of the journey, the internal journey. I call the most amazing
Yeah.
partner who's like, his inner universe is so vast. I've been to India 30 times, like a deep meditator for the last 2 decades. And just teaching me like
Wow.
how to really grow my inner universe, because I've grown my outer
Yeah.
universe a lot, and I've spent the last many years like cultivating slowly, but like I'm really, really, really interested in a spiritual practice more and more and more, and so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wonderful. Is that in some ways a response? It sounds like you're saying you sort of gritted out that's deeper than this, but a lot of, I think you wrote about this too, but sort of the classic sort of
yeah,
masculine American way of building something, like sort of forcing things, which can be effective. We do live, this was happening in America too, but at what expense? And is that sort of, I'm wondering back to, because it's no small thing that you launched Wild, and then you launched THINX, and then like I'm curious what you would say of all of the you rattled off like every great institution in the world that could bestow wisdom upon someone. I'm curious what you did that before without any of that. I'm curious what gave you the conviction to do it then, and what would happen now if you had what you know
Mm,
now behind you.
well, I mean, we all have a different amount of hubris. When we're young, we just think that we can do it all,
Mhm.
that we don't need like certain protocols in place, and you don't need like managers because they cost too much money, and I just want to rather hire a bunch of junior people because
Yeah.
it's less expensive, and but I can teach them and train them, and I can mold them in the way I want, and whatever. But there is something
Yeah.
about leadership, and there's something about having a diverse team in age, in every as in age, gender, race, like diversity inclusion is a
Mhm.
very real, there's a very real reason why it works. Diversity in nature, it's the only way. It's not a monoculture. We live in an ecosystem. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
to be able to really think about, like building from that place, ecosystem consciousness, like that's what I'm most interested in. Like I want to build like nature, and nature's been doing it to millions of years. And
Yeah.
we build more like trauma scale, like how fast next quarter, versus nature doesn't grow like that. Nature is
Totally.
flourishing effortlessly, constantly. And it's just, it's a breathtaking, easeful journey that, it's like it emerges and cultivates and emerges and cultivates and emerges and cultivates.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what I'm here for in this project. And so, um,
Hmm.
yeah, um,
Where did you find that? How did you come to know that? I was all of your work is rooted in this. There's uh, clearly give back, improve the world, save the planet, nature connection to everything that you're doing. I'm curious where that started
well,
for
I
you.
mean, my parents are such beautiful teachers in many ways. I mean,
Mm.
um, well, my name means three trees. Like Miki means three trees. And so I
Oh.
grew up really loving trees and climbing my big maple tree in my backyard in Montreal.
Mm.
Um, and my parents, when we were 11 years old, took out like a loan that took them 10 years to pay off to take us to India and Japan when we were 11. And we got to see, poverty. And we got to see like orphans just like walking this train stations,
Mm-hmm.
skinny but with deformed, just and begging for food. And we were just like,
Mm-hmm.
where are their parents? Like we were such like sheltered Canadian
Yeah.
middle class,
Yeah.
and we're like, yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have any there, or they're and so it
Mm-hmm.
was just like so much recognition of how lucky we are. What happened when I was 11. I got to see with my own eyes a level of poverty and a level of like, oof, for children.
Mm.
And we spent so much time in our India, like making like bread and butter and like going and giving it to all the kids because we were just like, where's the, like, it was just like a wild realization. And so I knew that when I became an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, there was no chance I wasn't going to have a give back as part of
Mm-hmm.
what I'm building, because otherwise I wouldn't be interested in
Mm-hmm.
keeping it going for so long. If they have a real
Yeah.
mission behind it, then it's like, how much more stuff can you sell? And you're just like, I don't want to sell stuff anymore. Versus like, oh, that there's purpose
Yeah.
behind it, like period proof underwear that both elevates your experience, and we've helped girls in the developing
Yeah.
world go back to school, and we've have diverted hundreds of millions of tampons, pads, and applicators from landfills, and then building TUSHY, is
Mm-hmm.
elevating people's hygiene in the bathroom, and it's like really like
Mm-hmm.
literally we saved Tushy, we've saved over 10 million trees from getting flushed down the toilet. And we have
Yeah.
elevated people's experiences by offering a really affordable bidet that you can attach to any toilet in less than 10 minutes with no plumbing or
Mm-hmm.
electrical needed. And you're just in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
you have a washing, like clean, precise shower, and it saves trees. And we have funded resoiling and reforestry projects all over South America. We have funded the build out of clean toilets for over 60,000 families in India. We have, like there's so much stuff that I'm,
Incredible.
yeah, so proud of, because otherwise it's just like, I love elevating people's experiences too, like offering a better product, but I think it's so much deeper
Yeah.
when there's impact associated as well. That's deeper impact. Um, Yeah,
Oh, of
and then with
course. Yeah.
HIRO, of course, like a a fungi, like a myco-digestible diaper, the world's first diaper that's designed to return to the
I know. I'm
yeah.
fascinated. Also, the branding, no surprise, of all of these. It's
Thank you.
wonderful. Like, it's really, I love it's so brave. It makes other people feel brave when you talk about things that without shame, that everyone else arrives at with some sort of shame. I love even just how the diaper, like in for HIRO, it like
Yeah,
emerges like a blossoming
yeah,
flower kind of thing.
thank
What a great idea. Do you think like brand first? Coming out of Google, it was all about product. Marketing was like a second class citizen, if that.
I I
I'm curious where like brand
for me
versus
it's
product
not
sits for you.
it's neither. It's art first. And it's
Yeah.
art, it's
Ooh.
solution, and then how do you artfully deliver the solution? It's like I'm an artist. People are like, "Oh, you're such a
Hmm.
great marketer." I'm just like, "Ugh, like I'm an artist." I'm a creative. Like I
Yeah.
don't, you know,
Beautiful. Yeah.
and so people are like, "You're an entrepreneur." I'm like,
It's
"I'm a creative problem solver. Like I'm creative and
mm,
I'm scrappy and I can do a lot with almost nothing. Creativity
mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's been a real journey to remember that I'm not like yeah that what I am is an artist. Like we're all artists, but like
Yeah.
it's what I care
Mm,
most about is to make beautiful art that moves people into a new direction and that makes people go like
yeah.
like wow, that made me feel something. Like I want to go do
Right.
that, not shame, not blame, just like it made them feel something. And so
Yeah.
um yeah.
How do you like hold space? Let's not say hold space. How do you the world America doesn't like of course we like give awards to artists, but we also like in some way don't create space for artists. And it's really hard. The act of living as an artist is
I
almost
know.
impossible and exhausting. And of course you would go to all these institutes to find a way to maintain yourself. What have you learned from like surviving just as regardless of like what you've produced company wise, but how do you exist? How do you like keep your flame, your creativity alive?
I mean, I think it's just by making sure you're inspired every day, and I think it's like
Hmm.
looking at flowers and looking at nature and looking at my son and looking at, you know, um art books and looking at, really, really creative, visuals and going to museums and like there's like places that you can just get filled up with creativity and just like, oh, like
Hmm.
that, in Tokyo I saw this menu that I was like, oh, that's interesting way they made that. How can I do, it's just like, you just see different things
Yeah.
everywhere you go and you're like, oh, how can I make that even cooler or such that just
Yeah.
made me feel something and therefore
Yeah.
I want to go deeper in that. Like why did that make me feel something? Um
Yeah.
and then how can I make my own art that allows people to feel things enough to change their
Yeah.
behavior? Like that's something that's such a huge challenge for someone to go from like we're using a tampon to bleeding in their underwear with such people like no one's ever going to do that. You're going to be, failed in one or whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, I think people like don't want to stick a thing inside their like vaginas like all the time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then people are like, no one's gonna like wash their butts and install a device on their toilet. People are so afraid it's in toilets, plumbing. I'm like,
Yeah.
you just have to, it's consistency, it's artfulness, it's passion, it's integrity, creativity. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
it's not a huge rocket science thing. I think most people often go into something because they're like, oh, product market fit, it's the right timing, crypto, like I think it's gonna make a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
it's a gold rush, or it's like so right, versus like I'm
Mm-hmm.
so fucking passionate about this. Like I
Yeah.
really care about like parents learning ecosystem consciousness. Like because if parents
Mm-hmm.
realize that they go from like I me consciousness into like me and my baby and my family, single
Mm-hmm.
family, and it's like everyone else, all the stuff that you buy, who cares? But kind of throwing it out, but it's my family. But then you like
Mhm.
realize that if your ecosystem is not thriving, your baby's not going to thrive. So why even have children if you don't care about your ecosystem that they're going to grow up in? And you're just throwing more
Yeah.
shit away, and there's not any kind of collaboration and a sacred reciprocity with nature in any capacity. Of course, it's going to create more and
Mm.
more and more pain and suffering and like all the
Mhm.
ailments that people are having more and more and more of because there's not that really beautiful connection and reciprocity between people and the planet in such an amazing way. And I think this is why
Yeah.
I've done so much healing work because I really believe you heal yourself, you
Mhm.
can heal the world. Like you start with yourself and then you
Yes.
heal the world,
Yeah.
you know? And so,
Totally.
yeah. And so I feel
How did this you found I'm so sorry, there was a
no
slight
worries.
delay. Keep going. Okay. Um, I was just gonna say, so and then we have Hero, your son,
Yeah.
beyond not just the company, but along the way, so you started. Tell me if this I have the timing right. So you started Wild, you started THINX, very successful. You wrote Do Cool Shit. Then you started Tushy, and which is sort of obviously still running. You wrote Disruptor, well, and then you had your son
Yeah.
because
I had
life is
my
slow.
son I wrote my
Um,
book the first like month and I wrote Disruptor right the month and a half Hero was born. He was born and I wrote the book in like a
okay.
month, 2 months, like maybe 2 months. And
Mm,
yeah, it was just like
wow.
I was just like I had so much
Wow.
to say. I went through so much during that period
Yeah.
of time that I just had so much that I wanted to move.
Tell me about it. Because so many people launch whatever version of something coming out of the birth of their child. Like, and they have just so much, as you said, so much to say. And in a weird way, a lot of energy to do it without
Yeah.
having any energy. How did you experience it?
Well, I had experienced my first like really kind of traumatic experience at my at things.
Mm,
It was like a very wild thing. It was like during that era when they were like trying to take all these female founders down and it was like a whole like
yeah.
bullshit stories from, former terminated people. Just stuff like that. We were just like, wow. This
Yes. Very
so
toxic. Yeah.
and I happened to, I got caught in that swirl and it was actually, on one hand, it was the
Yeah.
hardest time of my life. On the other hand, it was the greatest gift of my life because I learned so much
Mm,
during that period. It was such a
mm-hmm.
gift in the end.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I gave birth, I did have a lot to say, because at the time I was just being
Mm,
super protective of my son and I wanted to be just as easeful as possible.
mm,
And so when he was born, I was like, okay, he's safe. I want to say, and
mm,
so it was really
yeah.
powerful it was a powerful purge to get a lot of that stuff out of my
Mm,
body and just feeling into like what happens when you really disrupt the system, and how the system wants to
yeah.
maintain its form and will throw rocks at you, call you names, discredit you, try to say all these things to maintain its form until you artfully usher them forward, and then they're just like, oh yeah,
Mm,
of course it was supposed to be like this, and you're like, right, like
yeah.
but, it takes time, and I think that's, something that, I really have a vision that, the old paradigm of consciousness, like even conscious capitalism. So I was on the board of conscious capitalism for many
Mm,
years, and it's like a
mm,
win-win-win-win-win model. So like just a pure capitalist business is just a shareholder value. Like you're really trying to increase shareholder value. It's a pure capitalist business. A conscious
mm-hmm.
capital, a conscious capitalist business is a stakeholder model. So while the pure capitalist is a shareholder model, the conscious capitalism is stakeholder model. And the shareholders are an important
Mm-hmm.
stakeholder. Just it's not the stakeholder, but it's an important stakeholder. Then there's customers, employees, suppliers, and the planet. And if there's a true win-win-win-win-win model, when you're truly built a conscious business where truly the shareholders, the suppliers, the employees, the customers, and the planet win, a conscious business
Mm,
outperforms a pure shareholder-led business by a factor of 10.5 to 1 over 15 period. So
mm,
a conscious business outperforms financially if you're sure. So it
yeah.
makes no sense not to actually care about the ecosystem. Look at this monocrop and versus this
Yeah.
ecosystem consciousness. It's so obvious that when the ecosystem wins, everyone thrives. And so
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe that when you tack on this framework that I created called soft power, the soft power framework, which is this radiating energetic frequency of attunement that starts with attuning to self, to then attuning in two-person
Mm-hmm.
dynamic, attuning within company, within community, within the planet. Once you're able to really radiate this true attunement, and it really starts with yourself. This is why I've gone on such a deep inward journey,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, wow, I've got a lot of
Yeah.
shit that that I have so many goggles of
Yeah.
self-protection and patterned reactions and so many things preventing my heart from being fully, 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 fully online right now, especially having gone through a lot of
Yeah.
different moments in my life. I do believe that you tack on this framework on top of conscious capitalism, you can 100x your impact and your return,
Mm.
and that is my
Mm-hmm.
curiosity for this company is, and I create
Yeah.
from this new paradigm of consciousness. And, I'm finding myself like, you know, f yeah, like getting in my own way, at times where
Mm-hmm.
I'm, um, yeah, going back to my old way, wanting to speed through something, wanting to make it happen
Yeah.
ASAP, like, right now I need it, kind of energy versus like, "Whew, like, let it breathe, let me," because
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that right now energy worked for me for the last 20 years," but it does create a level of burnout in the body, it creates a level of burnout in the
Yeah.
ecosystem. And nature
Yeah.
operates in cycles, it operates in seasons, and there's moments of flourish, there are moments of rest, and there's moments of, of cultivating, there's moments of bursting through, and it's like, to me, that's the most beautiful way to grow. And I'm like in the sort of garden of my own experience of it every day, and I kind of fall, and then I come
Yeah.
back up, and I fall, and that's what, for me, I'm growing. And I think that's
Yeah.
otherwise, if I do the same, I'm not growing. I'm just doing another thing. Like, I don't
Totally.
care. I don't want to do that. I'm not interested. I'm like so not interested in that. So for me, like,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
keep growing. I want to keep learning. I want to keep diving into the parts of me that are scary, or the parts of me that are still like young, or just reactive, and the parts of me that,
Mm-hmm.
feel hurt by old stories that are coming back online in the present, like, that I need to like clean up.
Yeah.
There's just, and so
Yeah.
to be
Totally.
able to really tune into me now. Like, my twin sister and I, we
Mm-hmm.
we always like change communities. Like, we kind of like build a community and then like cultivate it for 10 years, and we kind of let it go. And then we build a new community that's in our new kind of where we are consciousness. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
build it again. And then we're like, okay, like, I think I'm ready. And now I'm in that phase
Yeah.
again where I'm like ready to, again, I'm in a growth
Yeah.
phase. I'm doing so much inner work. I want to develop my inner landscape. I want to soft for this project. And so
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's just a different phase. And I just don't, I have 0% of me is interested in growing in the old way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask I don't know if it's necessarily a hard question, but one that I wrestle with and one that has come up with, we've interviewed a lot of, sort of C-level ish in some way traditional corporate life, but also a lot of creatives, a lot of authors. And I think something that I've heard them articulate and that I'm experiencing in this like sort of different direction and that I've, picked up on in the world, but um it can be really it's interesting because to be a creative can be a very individualistic pursuit. I know you're talking about it being very ecosystem oriented and like togetherness. It can be really hard to figure out how to sort of I don't know, honor your own creativity and pursue and grow in the way you need to grow, and also be present for your kid.
Yeah.
um I'm wondering how you are such a live wire and it's beautiful. I'm wondering how you
What does that mean?
integrate hero into that. That you have your own vibration and you really and you want to maintain, you want to grow, you want to invest in that vibration because it feeds you, I think. um it's hard thing, it can be
Sure.
a hard thing to share. I'm wondering how you kind of creative Miki, mother Miki. I would love, because I'm sure you've confronted this, and I'm not saying anyone has it figured out, and I'm just curious how what you've picked up along
I
the
mean, I
way.
think being a mother is what truly has transformed me in the most beautiful way, like softened my edges, allowed me to
Mm.
really just, like love so unconditionally. Like I grew up, even if I had, the love I received from my mother was unconditional. I felt like I received conditional love from my father, even if you would say that otherwise now. But back then it was like, what have you done lately? Or how much have you, like, what, prove your worthiness, like prove it, prove it,
Yes.
prove it. And, and so I feel like in the past, there's a lot of relationships were, I wouldn't say transactional because I've been such a cheerleader and giving even to my friends, but um that like and there's like a level of like like fear almost where it's like conditional, like love, like if this doesn't work out then I'm okay, like protecting myself just enough that if I was heartbroken or
Mm-hmm.
something then I'd be okay, you know? And so I
Mm.
think like
Mm-hmm.
when I had my son, it just like cracked me open, and it's like
Mm.
the only, like, yeah, like feeling of unconditional love that I really experienced was when I had my son, and then I got to really cultivate that
Mm.
and build that, and I love being a mom so much. I mean, he's such an actualized epic kid. I mean, I have a company named after him. He came up with the idea when he was 2, like, for HIRO. It was his idea. Like,
Mm.
he inspired it.
Really?
Like, I was sitting, like, looking at a
Yeah.
tree, and I was like, wait a minute, breast milk is liquid gold. So baby poop must be fertilizer gold, And I was just like, so right now
Wow,
we're
that's
wrapping
awesome.
billions of
Yeah.
pounds of mama juju fertilizer in plastic and not harnessing it for good. Like, and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
how are we not harnessing this incredible yellow golden poop for good? We're just throwing it millions of pounds. It just
Yeah.
made no sense. And so I was like, what could baby poop fertilize to grow and maybe eat the diaper? And I don't know. I was like, what could digest
Mm-hmm.
plastic? What could eat like, I don't know. Is there something that the baby poop could to eat the plastic? And then my son HIRO comes
Mm-hmm.
running into my room at 2 years old, points to a book in my nightstand while saying Pachamama, which means Mother Earth. He goes, Pachamama, Pachamama.
Mm-hmm.
And I look, and there's a book in my nightstand, my bedroom, called Pacha's Pajamas that had no business being in my
Mm-hmm.
bedroom. It was just happens to be there, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I pull out this book and I open it, and it says fungi can eat plastic. Yeah.
No way.
Eh,
Ah,
it was like one
yeah.
of those
Yeah.
divine moments, and
Yeah. This is what happens when you
tuned in.
are, I don't know, open, surrendered. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes. Have you figured out how to make those moments happen
spacious.
more? I love when they happen. I
Yeah.
can't create it.
I agree. But spaciousness, the more space you give yourself, the more they
Mm.
show up. And that's why, like, I've started taking Friday thinking
Yeah.
days, feeling days. I'm calling them feeling days now, where for the last 7 years, I don't take any
Mhm.
calls or meetings on Fridays. And I just allow for creative ideas
Mm.
to download. I create this space for myself to like dream and create. I think that also like allows me to keep going with, having to toggle between 2 businesses, a beautiful kid.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful beloved that we're almost coming on a year now. Um, yeah,
Yay.
he's amazing. And
Oh,
yeah, and his
good.
inner universe is so cultivated, and it's like, it's so beautiful when you see yourself in the different stages of your life and what kind of person you call in. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, like I'm definitely evolving because I called in this incredibly magical human, and I feel so,
Mm.
like proud of myself, in that way because it
Mhm.
just shows my own evolution, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
of course he's so like he loves me. He's just can't, like it's like he loves me so much, and it's so beautiful when there's so much mutual love. It's like he just can't believe, like, and I can't believe it's just
Yeah.
like this real sweet. Uh,
Oh, the
yeah,
best.
I'm like, wow, we just really called each other
That's
in. It's
beautiful.
nuts. Like, how did you even? Living in Austin for like 14 years. I never met him. We were like in the same. He was dating a woman in Russia, so he
Mm.
was constantly gone to India and to meet because she was like they met
Mhm.
in India together, and she taught him so much. I have so much gratitude for her. So yeah,
Oh,
first of all, I'm so grateful for this woman. She's like a Russian yogini. Yeah. So
That's
yeah.
so good. You see, you conjured at the right
Yeah.
time.
And so, yeah,
Good.
we both came out of I came out of a 12-year marriage, and he was coming out of a 9-year relationship. He went into a year-long, like, relationship with, like, Italian rock stars, one does. And I, to a relationship also with this, like, like a professional athlete for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And we both kind of had
Yeah.
our, like, post long-term relationship, like, wild moments, and then
Sure.
found each other in the perfect moment. Yeah. And so,
That's so beautiful. I'm so
yeah.
happy for you.
Yeah. And he's
That's
like, I'm
great.
half Hindu, half Buddhist. My dad's from India, my mom's from Japan. He's Jewish. His name is
Mm.
Seth. And but he has a Hindu name. His guru gave him a name, Sachitananda, which means truth, awareness,
Mm.
bliss. And he's like that. And he yeah, he has this, like, Hindu name, Sachitananda. So cool.
Mm.
And so he's, like,
Yep.
more Hindu than me, and I'm more Jewish than him, except from, New York for
Mm-hmm.
19 years. But
What?
well, yeah,
Right.
but it's been
Oh, that's so
yeah,
good.
so it's been so nice to just and being a mom is my greatest gift of my life. Like, I love being a soccer mom. My ex-husband and I we're gonna be soccer coaches together.
Mm.
He coached the first few games, and he's like,
No.
I think we're on a roll right now. I don't know if you come because you might break the streak. Coach, but I'm doing a really good job coaching right now. So I just want to make sure that, like, we know the streak before you join as the coach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
managing those
yeah. I just
substitutions
want to
every
make
five
sure
and a half
that you
minutes.
know that I'm on we're 2-0 right now. So when you join, and we just laugh. Yeah, my ex has
I get it.
in a
That's
good
the best.
spot. Yeah.
Good for you. Ah, you're such a, I mean, I feel like your creativity also, obviously, it's on display in everything you're building in a business sense, but also, I think you just being around you have a really nice way of
Mm,
reframing things. And you have to be creative to be able to see things differently. And I feel like that's what's true in your products. I feel like that's also how you're seeing your life. Even the same life, you're going to see it differently 10 years
mm.
from now.
I
It's really wonderful to be around.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a baby fawn right now, like, tripping over myself because, yeah, I just came back from doing this, like, ibogaine journey where they just literally, it just goes to every file, like, under in your nervous system.
Wait, tell me. I don't know what an IB game
Oh,
journey is. For anyone else
yeah,
that
I
might not
just
know,
did.
what is it?
So it's ibogaine is a derivative of the plant iboga, and iboga is this root of an African plant, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the most incredible medicine I've ever experienced. People have done in the past. I never did it because I was like, oh, it's for people who are on or opioid addicts or people who have PTSD or people
Mm,
who go down and who want to get rid of a drug addiction. So I was just thought it was, like, correlated to that, but it actually
mm,
it what it does is it heals your underlying trauma, which then heals your coping mechanism. So your coping mechanism goes
mm,
away, which is your either people, drugs, alcohol. For a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like trauma scale, like more, sure, rah, and it's like
yes.
for
Yeah.
athletes, it's like, what's the next thing I can do? Like, what's it? It's your own
Yeah.
coping mechanism. Like, drugs and alcohol is just one medium. There's so many other
Mm-hmm.
coping mechanisms. For me,
Mm-hmm.
it was moving fast, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to slow down and review all the stuff that my body was going through, and self-protecting
Yeah.
myself, and so I went because I was like, wow, I feel like I have too many files in my nervous system that are open and
Mm,
accumulated over my whole life that I haven't, like, you know, integrated. And so what a trauma is
mm-hmm.
trauma is simply an energy that hasn't been complete, an incomplete energy that got stuck in the body
Mm,
because
mm-hmm.
it basically overrode it for survival. So for survival
Mm-hmm.
response. And so there's so many moments, small and big, that we all have gone through that just lives in our nervous system and we don't even realize it. And as we
Mm-hmm.
get older, unless we actively work on it, it just adds up in the files and the files. And eventually you just have too many files open that any little thing you can have a response.
Mm,
And so I was experiencing, like, pins and
mm,
needles in my body because I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And because
mm,
I took over the seat of CEO, chief steward of HIRO, and when that happened, I kind of started feeling it again. It brought me back to, like, the trauma I experienced at THINX. And so I just
Yeah.
was like, whoa, like I have stuff in my body. And I also really want another kid. And so it's set that I don't have one yet. And
Hmm.
I'm in my 40s, but I'm like, I'm so vital and amazing. And it's just a number.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, wonderful. Oh, yeah.
I want to just clear my space so I can have creative space in my body to create, you know? And so that's really
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I went is, I mean, two of the reasons was clear the
Yeah.
files and clear the space so I can welcome in a new soul. You know, that's yeah.
Mickey, I feel like I have some work to do, some non-work
What do
work to
you
do.
got? I got one. I want to
Oh, I'm not having more kids. I don't need
think
space
what
for
we
children. I need space for my own
exactly. No,
spirit.
everyone does. So we just bypass,
Mm-hmm.
override, and it just lives in our nervous system. And then we move quickly enough that we
Yeah.
can't feel it. And then when you start slowing down is when it all shows up. And that's why I'm just like, wow. And this is what at Sapiens, I did these two at the Ibogaine journey and at Sapiens, like they were like, you're just thawing. You're just finally up numb to it. Like your
Hmm.
body is just finally like responding and you're able to feel it. Not like just
Mm.
overriding yourself anymore. And so that
Wow.
felt really good to hear. And yeah, I'm still, I mean, the medicine is in your body for 3 months. I still feel it in my body right now. And so it's a 3 month, I just did it,
Mm.
3 weeks ago. And so it's a very,
Wow.
yeah, it's a very real process. And it's not a fast
Yeah.
one, it's a slow one. And so, yeah, it's a
I'm
very
sure. Well, it takes a lifetime to create these
right.
traumas.
But then when you move
Um,
them out, I'm now like, okay, so now without these traumas, these coping mechanisms don't make sense anymore. Now I'm just like,
right.
now you're just like, who
Yeah.
am I? Like without so you're just like having to rebuild yourself and rebuild
Yeah.
yourself. And there's so much, it's hard to like trust yourself right now. Cause I'm just like, this story is just a try. Is this
Hmm.
me? Like, is this my new me? So like, right.
Yeah. Right. How to trust you. Totally.
I'm
I
in the
totally get that. Yes.
confusion of it right now. And I'm just letting myself and
Hmm.
my partner, he's like, just be in the confusion. Like just shake it up. Just be in the confusion.
Oh,
So I've been doing a lot of shaking exercises
yes.
and just like moving a lot of the energy. And yeah, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I can do is just really move the energy and then be with it too. It's like really let it
Yes. The permission to
sit in
sit in
it.
it.
And then like
Yes.
when
And
and
trust
just
that
like
it'll
okay,
pass.
I'm still working for it. Yeah.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
been a while. I'm just like, oh gosh, please. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
all a
Well,
process and I'm here for it.
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all this wisdom with us. I know we're at or a little beyond time already. If you have 30 seconds, we do these last little closing questions that are short answers. That might be cleansing in their own way.
Um
If you could,
yeah,
do you have 30
yes.
seconds?
Need
Perfect.
hold on
Okay.
a minute. Okay. Perfect. Okay, yes.
All right. If Mickey could go back to new
Mm,
mom Mickey, would you go back to her? And is there something you would want to say to her?
what a beautiful question.
Hmm.
Mm, mm. What I would say when the baby's in my arms,
Hmm.
you're gonna be a great mom, because you are. And I really am a great mom. And I
Hmm.
think um, when you're a new mom, like I actually didn't ever second guess myself as a mom. when I first had him, I just was like, just fully, and I think, breastfeeding was so easy. Like, I just really, it was the birth that was really hard for me. And like, I almost, I had an emergency C-section. Like, they gave me too much epidural, so I was choking on my own spit. It was like a really scary birth experience. And I think, but as soon as I became mom, I was like, ugh, like I was born for this, And so I think, I think for me now, it's like this, so much of this work that I did with ibogaine was getting over some of the birth trauma, and just really like tuning back into my womb and just being like, you're safe. Like it's not scary, and it's just like that. That part.
Yeah. It's so deep. It's so profound. I mean, it is the meaning of life happens.
Yeah.
And for us to understand for the rest of our life. Um, is there anything, final question is, HIRO and maybe other children might listen to this one day. Is there anything you'd want to say to him?
I mean, he knows, but I would say you're the greatest gift of my life. He knows it. I say it to him every day, but he knows it, and that's what I love, is that he knows it, and there's not even a question in his mind that my love for him is so unconditional, and he's so actualized and so like, because I think of that unconditional love, like I do, and that feels really, that feels really good. And I'm great. He knows it. No. Yeah.
Well, Miki, that little conversation changed my day, my own vibrations. I hope it changed yours for those listening. I feel like it's a very tender end to the conversation, but I think what I really want to take away is that it's incredibly hard, deep work to figure out and do what you're meant to do. And it's not for the lighthearted. It's incredibly brave. It's incredibly courageous. It takes its own toll. I think if you're truly a creative, quote unquote, and I use that term probably very loosely, but that you're really called to it and you can't do anything else, and you're not yourself unless you're doing it. And I think Miki is one of those people, trying really, really hard to tap into her purpose and bring that forward to make the world better, which is an incredible amount to carry. So to all the creatives listening, I'm cheering for you. You're doing incredibly difficult, often unseen. Talk about invisible labor. I feel like the actual output from a creative is like the last 5%. It's everything else that happens that often doesn't even look like work, but just looks like getting out of the shower and trying not to cry. But anyway, dear listener, thank you for being here on this journey. And dear Miki, thank you for bringing us along yours. Take care. Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and we can reach even more rock stars like you. The Mothers is a production of Backline Media, shining a light on those who carry the team.